we go. Hey everyone, good to see everyone again. Thank you for joining me, guys. So let me talk to you about some stuff I've been working on. Some of the stuff we've done in my class, and some of the stuff I haven't done, and not because it just didn't work out the way the class structure went. But it's actually probably one of the more important topics that we should talk about. And it's probably going to be, this will probably be the last session until the new year. And then we'll start the new year. So it would be nice to say Merry Christmas to you guys as well before the end of the year. But so there's always an aspect of training that it's not hard to talk about, but hard for people to wrap their head around. And I tried to go bigger than I think what people think of Systema, and try to go bigger into the whole idea. So you have the mental, you have the physical, and then you have the spiritual kind of aspects of anything, not just martial arts, of anything. But what I find really odd is when you talk about physical training, people can, they regiment it and they say, okay, this is the process. And then when it comes to mental training, people put a process into place. But then when it comes to spiritual, people think it's like, oh, there's no process whatsoever. They think that you'll often hear, just be present. It's like spiritual things are so like, there's nothing. They're just the way they are. Like the people are just magically spiritual somehow, right? And it's like, wow, it's such a load of garbage. There is definitely a process to the spiritual stuff as well. And people, for whatever reason, Hollywood, I don't know, like, and I just look at what Hollywood does to, let's say, guns, or people that, like how people operate with a gun. It's all wrong. Nobody operates with it like this. Just Hollywood glorifies how people are with guns, knives as well, right? So the spiritual aspect, much like all the other aspects, rather than focusing on perfecting a physical technique, you should focus on the process that gets you to that place. So don't study perfect practice, study a process and perfect the process, because the process means that you can have random results, but you're following a way of doing something every time, okay? And when it comes to that, the spiritual side, you need to always, like with a process, so physical process, I know that I want to do, let's say 10 push-ups. I can't do 10 push-ups. I want to do 10 push. So that's the end goal. So all my training, I understand where I want to go. You have to also understand where you want to go on all those levels. So mental training, I might say to myself, when I'm playing in a game, I want to make sure that my mind stays focused so that I can get good results. And I can tell the difference between physical inability and mental inability, right? And most athletes struggle with the mental stuff. But now spiritual is a whole other component to it, right? So on that note, the first thing you need to understand with spiritual training, with anything that is like a deeper sense of purpose, in other words, I'm a musician and I want to play from the heart, is feeling your heart. That's the first thing. So it's hard to feel the heart if you don't ever quiet yourself, right? So try to imagine this, and I'll kind of explain it in layers because it's not a set out but I want you to understand the process with which I use to tap into spiritual training, okay? So it's a process. So the first thing you need to do is visualize or understand that you're operating not from here, but from here. You're operating from your heart, okay? Now, the heart is not just, the reason it's so special is because the electric impulse that comes from the heart is much stronger than any other impulse in our body. So if you could measure the lungs, the liver, the kidneys, all this, and measure them as a electric frequency, the heart is an electric frequency. It's very strong. It's like 3 or 4 times stronger than any other frequency we have. That's why when somebody does something nice, you touch your heart. You go, oh, touches my heart, right? You can feel it, so you touch it, right? So you need to kind of understand that as the center of where you start to understand spiritual things. So the phrase always comes from the heart to the hands. So in other words, it's like when your mother makes some homemade food, she loves the holidays and it's from her heart, and from her heart she cooks the food, and that's what you can taste. You can taste that it's from the heart. So in the same way, we also have to cultivate that when we train. We have to find the deeper reasons why we're doing martial arts, and the deeper reasons what we're doing. And we have to feel it in our heart, not in our head. It's not like what somebody told us is martial arts or what I think is to be martial arts. So for most of us, we have to, I'm not going to tell you what that is. You have to think about that for yourself. Is it protecting your family? Is it protecting your country? Is it yourself? Is it something you fear? I was bullied. Let's say something like that. Like I was bullied. So what's the reason deeper? I don't want to be a victim. Most of us are scared of dying. that's the big one, right? But we all know that that's the end, right? We all know that's the end of life. And the old warrior culture used to wish, the native Indians would wish for a good death. I wish a good one. Not, like a good death is like, that's the way. You don't want to die a bad one, which is like falling off my chair or something, or anything glorious to talk about, right? So whenever I study the spiritual stuff, it comes from my heart. Okay. And now I don't sit down and say, today is spiritual training. And I don't do it like that. It's not quite so special. It's not quite like that for me. But what I do use is I use the big holidays like Christmas and Easter. There's other ones as well, smaller known, maybe, like cultural holidays, but you use these events to see big picture. So what I do is I look at the big picture of stuff. For me, Christmas is not about Santa Claus, and Easter is not about Easter bunnies, right? It's about something bigger, right? For me. So that's my spiritual belief. So I think about that, and I put that right at my heart. Now, it's hard to visualize that sometimes for people, but what you can do to help you grab that visualization is you take a candle, a small candle, and you light it, like a little candle in front of you. And you try to imagine that little candle inside you. Like try to imagine that inside you, there is a little light, right? That is your spirit, or is that your the reason you were born, the purpose for you. Small light, not a lighter, little light, okay? And that light never goes off inside you. You carry it with you all the time. And you carry that light with you everywhere you go. Now, you can turn up the light or it can stay low, but it's always lit inside you. Okay? That's what I think about when I'm training. There's a light inside me that is a spirit. And with that, you always have to keep that safe. Okay, and I hope that makes sense to you guys. I'm not trying to operate out of my mind. I'm trying to operate out of my heart. Okay, and it's an energy. So try to see light. If you're outside in the cold, one candle, a little candle, can mean the difference between life and death. That little light that can provide warmth. It's energy. You guys understand that? You got that, right? It's energy. Okay, so that's what that light is. So, or you can see it as a plug, like an outlet. It's power. So I have a plug back here at the Fight Club, and I plug things into that. It's power. Okay, so that little light that you have, people plug into that. So what's something that plugs into me? My kids, right? Like think about the things that plug. I'm a teacher. All the students that train here plug into me. Okay. So you have to see that the spiritual life is to understand energy, understand the source of energy. Okay. So I have a little light inside me. And with that little light, I provide energy to anything that I give attention to. Anything, anybody I meet and I decide, they plug into me. Okay. So if I have 1,000 things, and they can be material things, it can be even material things, my cell phone, my car, I have a relationship with them, and they pull energy from me. So I have a cell phone. If I look at it, guess what I'm doing? Energy is going to that. I have a car. I have to maintain the car. It drives me. I have a connection with my car. It takes energy from me. I have a house. I have to maintain I have a connection with the house. It takes energy. I've got to take care of it. I got to look after it. I got to shovel the driveway. There's energy, right? So the reason people don't understand the spiritual is because they have too many things plugged in. They can't feel it because too much energy is going out. Okay. So monastic life, the life of anybody that's spiritual, doesn't matter what thing, whether you're a monk, a priest, doesn't matter. They renounce material things because it pulls energy. So if they have 1,000 things, you have 1,000 pieces of energy going out. So a monk will say to himself, I'm cutting my hair, my beard, I don't care. I put on the clothes, that's it. I don't do this, I don't do that. And they get rid of as many things as they possibly can so that they stop losing energy. Does that make sense, guys? You following along? Think about that. It is about energy, because this is, so the spiritual, so I'm trying to use kind of extreme versions, but you can apply it to yourself. So you have to sit down and say to yourself, what are the things that I'm connected to, material and not material, people, material things as well. You know, if you have 10 sports cars, you have 10 things that you're attached to. You love each sports car for a reason, and you have to take care of it and you have to maintain it. If you have 20 kids, you have 20 connections. If you have, it doesn't matter what it is. You have, these are all connections that you have, okay? So if you want to become a little bit more spiritual, it requires less. So you have to start removing things that pull energy from you, okay? People know energy draining people, but it's not just people. It can also be things. People forget about that. It can also be things, okay? So you find that the real monastic people remove as much material things as they can, and any connections, to be honest with you, they start to really get down to like 20, like something small. So they conserve energy. So they stop the hemorrhaging of energy. Think of it as a hemorrhage, okay? So if you're a doctor, your guy comes in and the blood's spewing out, you're stopping the bleeding. You got to stop this loss of energy, right? Let me give you an analogy, guys. Try to see it like a fire hose. Okay, think of a fire hose. Think of a hose. You have it that you're watering. Okay, if you just turn on the water, and you don't hold the hose, where's the water going? It's going everywhere. That's how people live their life, because they're not focused, because they're losing energy. Focus is when you grab the hose and you point it and you say vegetables, fruit, not the stones and the weeds. That's the problem people have. They're watering stones and weeds in their life. The stones do nothing, they don't grow, and the weeds overtake the vegetable garden. Okay? So you need to cultivate focus, which, look at what a monk does. Look at what a monastic person does. He focuses. The one, doesn't matter if you're a Tibetan monk or you're an Orthodox priest or you're whatever it is, you're focused because you're trying to grab the hose and point it. So first thing you got to do is stop and look at material or people, whatever it is, the amount of people that are pulling energy from you, okay? You got to stop losing energy. Okay, that's the first thing, because that you can do almost right away. And it's so simple. I don't know, I find it simple. Believe me, it's the same with your Systema training. People have too many, they do too much. Less is better. Less is better in this case, okay? Don't have 10,000 things you do. Try to go down to the last like 10 things that you truly would do if things happened, right? So learn how to focus. Have you guys seen me? You've seen all the archery I do, and everybody talks about the archery. The number one reason I do my archery is for focus. Nothing has taught me focus like archery. When I'm not focused, it happens. I don't have any attachment to my bow and my arrows. I don't have that attachment. I love focus. I've learned, archery taught me focus. Systema taught me so many other things, but focus was now me able to grab the hose and point it exactly where I want to put it. For years, I watered everything, the stones, the weeds, and the plants. And now archery has taught me to focus. Believe me, martial arts taught me to focus, but not nearly as archery is all focus. It's all focus. Whereas martial arts has elements of focus, but it also has elements of power and other stuff too. So I was focusing as much, right? Now, the big one is, how do you cultivate energy? Now, because so a real monastic person, a real spiritual person knows how to stop losing energy, knows how to focus, and also knows how to cultivate energy, how to make lots of energy. And they got all this like built up spiritual energy. It's like a cannon, like a water cannon. You know, you ever seen a water cannon? Not a little, not a hose for your house, not a fire hose, a water cannon. And these are like guys like Gandhi. These are guys like real, Martin Luther King, big like people that could just tons of energy and just channeled it. And it's not just, Nelson Mandela, you name it. Vince Lombardi, you name it. Like these spiritual energy, just channeling it. I'll channel it to the Green Bay Packers. I'll channel it to South Africa. I'll channel, like these people channeled this energy, really channeled it, right? So this is so when you have a strong spirit and that kind of energy and you cultivate it, you can then, if you've got good focus and you're not losing energy on the back end, you really can start channeling the spiritual training of Systema, okay? And in other words, when I go to class and my teachers tell me something, I take that, and now it's up to me to train with it on the physical, the psychological, and on the spiritual level. Okay, now I go to church. I try to go every week, and that's part of the process of me being spiritual. That's part of it. So I go to church for the hour, I sit there, and I feel this and that's just one part of my process. It's not just the only process, but that's part of a process. You can become spiritual if you don't go somewhere where you feel that. I'm not saying I cannot feel it outside of church. Of course I feel it in church, but I also take that and I feel it. So that's part of my process, is part of my spiritual journey, making sure I go to church at least every week, if not more. And then part of my spiritual practice is making sure that I sit quietly and stop thinking and start feeling with my heart. And then part of my process is when people grab me and they do something what we would call violent or self-defensive, I try to work from my heart. I try to say, I wonder how a good person would deal with this. I wonder how an understanding person would deal with this, right? And I remember Michael's teachings, and he said to me, everybody that grabs you is scared. That's why they grabbed you, because they're scared. So how will you deal with the scared person? Not how will you fight? And I'm like, in my mind, I was like, okay, so the physical person grabs me, yeah, bang, I take the arm, I tie them up, I push them down. Mental, okay, person grabs me, I'm not gonna get too emotional. But from a spiritual, it's different. Now, as a good person, the person's scared. How do I calm a scared person down? Right? How do I be more understanding? How do I cultivate humanity? I don't know. Like it's not glorious. No one will ever see it. No one will ever see it. Okay. So let me share with you Mira, you're still there. You can hear me, right? Just want to check in. You're good? I haven't lost you.
Okay. No, I'm still here.
Good. Okay. So I'll tell you a story that showed me, and it happened about 10 years ago. It showed me the depth of some teachers compared to other teachers. Okay. So it was, I think, the second time Michael was coming to Toronto to visit us, right? So he'd come once before, but it was a very small seminar. 30 guys were there, and it was a great seminar. I really never met the man. When I met him, I was like, wow, okay, this is a really special person. But the second seminar Michael came was a much bigger event now. And it was about 100 people, which was huge back then. Now it's small, but back then that was huge. So Vladimir had asked me to go pick up a student that was coming in, or a person, not even a student, just was coming in from Australia. So this guy was flying into Toronto. I says, do you mind going to pick him up from Australia, from the airport, blah, blah, blah. I said, really? You guys coming all the way from Australia? I go, okay, that's kind of, it's shocking. People didn't come from that far back then, guys. That was very sweet. So I said, okay, great. So I went, picked the guy up. Alberto, he was this guy as old as you, okay? I didn't know who this was. It was an older guy. And back then, everybody was young, ready to fight. That's what was attracted to Vlad back then. Okay, everybody was young, ready to scrap. I didn't know who was going to be there. I went there. I see this older man, you know, small, about my height, athletic, but not you know, but definitely older, right? I met him. Super nice guy. He's still around. He's still around the systemic community. I won't use his name, but anyway. So I picked him up from there, but I talked to him the whole ride. Just a wonderful person, friendly, kind, you know, hey mate, you know, the typical Australian guy, you know, really happy-go-lucky guy. We go, that was the Friday. Saturday was the seminar. We taught the seminar, and on the Saturday. Then Michael finds out that this guy came all the way from Australia. He didn't know, nobody told him. So he found this guy came from Australia. So on Sunday, when we started the seminar, he asked questions, and he says, and he had, obviously the Saturday was spectacular. A lot of physical work, punches, kicks. It was everything everybody wanted to see. It was guys young, strong, ready to fight. He showed everything on Saturday like this. So Sunday, we thought it was going to continue like that. And it was supposed to continue in that theme. Well, then, so Sunday starts and Michael talks about what we're going to do. And he says, buddy, goes, guys, listen, we had somebody come all the way from Australia and I want to meet them. And they came all this way. I want them to work with me, you know? So if you don't mind, I'm just going to do a quick little demonstration with somebody because they traveled so far. I figure it's the least I can do for this guy. So I'm like, oh, great. Okay, great. So, you know, we sat back and all of us got around and Michael sits in the room. The guy comes up and it's, you know, he's like, just do whatever you want. Punch, kick, grab, do whatever you want. And that was Michael's style. He didn't tell you what to do. You do what you want and I'll show you what I can do. So I'm sitting there, I'm watching tentatively. So, you know, this guy is just an older guy, walks up to Michael, doesn't, you know, as he's approaching him, Michael was kind of looking down. He looked up at him quickly, just exactly like how I'm doing it, because I was watching it. I watched Michael very closely because there was no good translations. You had to watch him. There wasn't a good English translation. So I look, and Michael looks up at the guy, literally through the top of his eyes. He goes, puts his hand up. No expression on his face, just puts his hand up like this. And he had stopped. He took 2 steps towards him, put his arms around him, and whispered something in his ear. I couldn't hear it. We were a little bit further away. Whispers in his ear. And then that happy old man started to cry like nobody's business, weeping, full tears coming down his face. And it was like so awkward. Here we are, like young guys ready to fight. Now there's an old man crying and it's hard to watch, right? So I look over at Vlad quickly and he's like, I have no idea. He didn't know. I didn't know. Nobody knows what's going on at all right now, right? So, you know, then the guy that Michael talked to, that guy, he left the gym we were at. He walked out. And Michael, no expression on his face. Okay, guys, grab a partner and practice what we did on Saturday for 10 minutes. So, you know, everybody's like, now we're in shock. You know, the gossip. What happened? I don't know what happened. Like high school girls. It's pathetic. You know, we're so tough guys that we're like high school girls gossiping. 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, how far I can't remember the time. Guy comes back in, And Vlad's got him now by the shoulder, and he goes, "Listen, guys, let me explain. Let this person tell you what happened, because this way, it's too unusual for you." So the person that Michael's name's Dan. He said, "Guys," he goes, "I came all the way from Australia because I had actually heard about Michael." He goes, "I was Australian Special Forces in Vietnam 2 terms." So he was in Vietnam. And he goes, "I had heard about," because the Russians were in Vietnam before that. And he goes, "I actually heard about this great commander, Michael. I actually heard about him." And I couldn't believe it was coming because I couldn't go there because I have classified military history. He has a classified military history. He couldn't come to Australia. Nobody could travel. But in Canada, they could both come. So as I wanted to meet this great man because I heard some amazing things about him. And I just came just to meet him. I didn't have any expectations whatsoever. I just came because I could, and I wanted to see this person. And he goes, when I was approaching Michael, we locked eyes quickly, and he put his hand up. I didn't know why. He whispered in my ear, goes, "You haven't come home yet." How's that for that, guys? And he goes, "I realized million people told me that. Million people told me that." He said, "But," he goes, because we were like equal, like we had seen stuff, and because I know he can see me, because only that person can do that. Like people with like things, they can tell me those things. Because guys, I said to myself, that skill set only comes if you can work from the heart. You can't find that anywhere else. So I started very slowly cultivating that. I started reading books about the religion that I was born with. I didn't know about it. So the process was, I'm going to start to read, not the Bible, but what it means. The Bible is one thing. What it means is a whole other ballgame, how people interpret things. So I started to study, reading a little bit, going to church a little bit. I didn't know how to operate like this. I had to learn. And this is why it's hard work. Nobody wants to do this work because it's hard work, because it's heebie-jeebie, right? People think it's weird. It's not weird. There's a process. Follow the process. The process is quiet yourself. Remove material things from your life that don't mean anything. Save energy, right? Start to focus. Start to cultivate energy. Read books. Be around people that give you energy. Do the things like, I know that people come to the Fight Club. I know that you guys are listening to me, and I give you energy, and I'm happy. Plug into me. I don't care, because I do that for you. That's it. That's how I see things now. But on the back end, I remove anything that isn't deserving of my energy. Okay. You guys know that if you plug in something at home, but it's off, it still takes energy. You know that, right? If I have a drill and I plug it in, but I'm not using the drill, it's still taking energy. Unplug it. The only way you stop using energy is if you unplug it. If you have a refrigerator and it's plugged in, it's using energy. If you turn the fridge off and plug it in, it's still using energy. You don't realize that. So in order for me to help everybody that I want, I have to make sure that I don't have things plugged in that are taking energy and I don't know about it. Anything that I'm plugged into. Because what do I wear? Have you ever seen what I wear? Black, a t-shirt, and a black jacket. That's it. Everything I wear is like the ridiculous, plain, simple, but complicated. I swear to God, nothing. Everything, yeah, simple. And that's because I want to save energy. I don't want to think about what to do when I get dressed. I'm not worried about, oh, if I put on this pink shirt, it means I'm sexy, or if I put on this fancy shirt, it shows I'm in style or something. I don't give a fuck about it, right? So everything that's plugged into me, I know. And now it's up to me just to get rid of the things I don't know about that are taking energy, cultivate energy. So in other words, go to church. That's one way. Maybe say some nice things. Maybe maybe try to imagine that there's a light inside me. Maybe try to think about that light can give warmth. It can mean survival if you're in the forest. If there's no heat, that candle can keep you alive, right? And what if I learned how to turn that candle up and not just light up myself, but light up a room, right? What if you could light up a country? What if you could light up a world, right? That's the power people have. Okay. When you get power, you can do whatever you want with it. It can be a light or it can be something bad, you know? It can be whatever you want it to be. And those stories are written in history all the time. Okay. So there is a process to the spiritual life. Okay. There is a process, and it is reading about it, right? It doesn't mean you have to agree with it. You have to read about it. I read about all kinds of people that do amazing things. And then I practice a little bit, go to church. Even during the week, I think about it. Maybe I'll say a prayer, or maybe I'll say something. When I find out somebody at the club has somebody that's sick, or somebody that's not well, or somebody that's passed away, say a quick prayer for them. Think about something bigger than yourself. Think about, I wonder what people will say about me when I'm gone. I wonder, in the Greek church, they say memory eternal. Memory eternal. It's only your memory that's eternal. I wonder what memory people will have of me. Will it be that I'm overly serious? Will it be that I made them laugh? Will it be that I cared a little bit? I don't know. Like, I can't tell other people. I can only tell you guys that everything I'm telling you now, I practice when people attack me. I move out of the way, even though they're quite violent. Maybe not so much here, maybe it's seminars. I'll move out of the way, and I'm smiling. I put my hands on them. I try to relax them. I make them laugh a little bit. I try to work with them. I try to see that they're scared inside, and I need to kind of get rid of this fear, right? Why have they said this? Why, rather than judge it, ask more questions and be more curious, right? About how they got the way they got, not challenge them, right? You don't challenge people, guys. It's not about challenging people. Try to understand, and then you can decide later what you want to do, right? Too much of that, right? The other thing with that is the spiritual is to stop talking so much. Okay, now I'm talking a lot now. I know that because you guys want this, but you should see how little I talk. I really don't talk a whole lot. Because why do people love dogs? Why do they love dogs? Because they don't talk. They don't say anything. And they try to make them talk. Don't make a dog talk. Leave him. It's fine what he's doing. You don't need that more talking. So you'll often find that the priests and the spiritual people, they do a lot of talking. But then when they're not, they don't talk. They read, they pray, they keep it. That's it. Okay. Now, so you have to say to yourself, it's one thing to talk, and it's another thing to be. We talked about this thing a week or so ago. So it's one thing for me to talk about spiritual, but I have to also be that. And by being that, I don't have to say anything. Nothing. If I walk down the street, people should already know this person is quite spiritual. I can see it, right? I saw it in Michael, something special. I saw it. But when he went up to that guy and said, "You haven't come home yet," I didn't see that because I'm using my eyes and my brain, not my heart. And so I started cultivating this. And then when I started to work for my heart, guess what happened? A lot of people didn't like it. They said, "Oh, you're soft. You're not a real martial artists are tough, and they punch people. You have to be like that." But I'm not. But that's not me. Can only be me, right? So, so I want you to think about things I said. Focus is you grabbing the fire hose. Energy is the water that you turn on, okay? And you want to make sure that it's not just maybe at the beginning, it'll be like a hose that you have at your house. And then if you practice a little bit, it might become like a fire hose. And if you practice a little bit more, it might be like a water cannon, your focus, right? And your amount of energy that you can cultivate, okay? I know some of you really watch what you eat. You guys all understand that certain foods give you energy and certain foods take energy from you, right? So do you see that? How come we can see this in food, but we can't see it in just spiritual? Why? Why is it so organic? Why can it not be a process? If I watch what I eat, it's not the weight that I lose that I give a shit about. It's that all the injuries go away. Alberto, all the injuries go away. It's amazing. Just with food. Okay. When Ray started to massage me, I didn't think just by massage, he took away half my injuries. I had no idea it was that amazing. So if you watch what you eat and you understand that this food takes energy, this food gives energy. If you watch the things you do and understand the people and the things that take energy and the things that give you energy, be very, very aware. Because why do I love? People often ask this. So I tell them I go fishing or I go hunting, right? Why do I love these things? I don't care. I love it. It's nice to catch a big fish. I take a picture, I throw it back, whatever. I love going hunting too. But the energy I get from going out to the forest and all the trees and all the animals and the fresh air and the no stress and the quiet. Guys, I go and I pray out there like nobody's business. I love it. I love it. I swear to you, it's the most. I couldn't care. Yes, if I shoot an animal, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to eat that animal, and that
Got
animal
the
was
same feeling
healthy.
in the ocean.
What's that?
We
With
got
the
the same
ocean,
feeling.
exactly. With the ocean,
Yeah.
exactly. It's energy. So water, energy. Sorry, guys, those call cut. Water and water, fresh air, good food. All start to see things. Spiritual life is about understanding energy. It's understanding how to keep it, how to have it, and how to give it, how to channel it, how to channel that. That's what teaching is for me. Okay, that's what separates me from a lot of other teachers. I'm not trying. You guys will learn Systema regardless of me. What I want is you to have the right perspective, please, because one day I'll be gone, and if somebody doesn't say this, no one will ever know how to do this. Okay. The old warriors, I have pictures, guys. I have pictures at home of not old, that of World War II in Crete, the fighting that was happened on Crete in World War II. There you are, guerrilla fighters, guns in hand, at a church with a priest, all of them praying before they go out on a mission. And guys, do you understand this? How much they believed, like the spirit that they had? That's spiritual training. I want to pray for everybody. And they didn't just pray to kill people, they prayed for the whole thing to be over. But till then, they prayed. They prayed for everything. Okay. There's monasteries right now in northern Greece where all the priests there pray for one thing. They say, how many billion people in the world? 10 billion people in the world. We have to pray for those 10 people because they're not praying. So we have to pray so much that it can. So in other words, Alberto's not praying today. I have to say a prayer for him. Karen's not praying today. So they say, I have to pray. If everybody prays 2 million times this week, we can cover everybody. That's how they believe in their head. They don't even know you and they're praying for you. That's just, I don't know what to say to that. It's so special, right? You have to be able to be so good that when you meet a bad person, they want to be good because you're just so good. They're like, that's something else. When I saw Michael, I walked away. I didn't say I want to punch like him. I didn't say I want to kick like him. I didn't say I want to kick everybody's ass like him. I said, this person is much better than me, good than me. I need to be more good. That's the difference. I need to be more good, not angry, not beat people. I need to be a better person. I'm not as good a person as I put the bar too low. That's the bar that I want to follow, right? It's not a fighting skill. It's an attitude and it's a process. Okay. So look at everything that you do to make sure that you eat good and that you be healthy, and look at everything you do to physical exercises. The same exists on the spiritual. Now, as a simple template, start to read books about, it doesn't matter what it is, Tibet, monks, just don't watch like 7 days, or is that one, that Brad Pitt movie, seven years in Tibet? That's not the only spiritual way. There's way other ones. Okay, watch so many beautiful spiritual people out there. What listen to them and marvel at them. You know, don't there is a process to this thing, right? And then I like to visualize a small light inside my heart. That light is small. It's just for me. Just for me. I make sure that never goes out. It can go out. It can go, and you can also be relit. Okay. But I make sure that, let's say I have a little candle right now, it's right in front of you, and there's no wind in here. When I walk, the candle will bend. It won't go out though, right? What happens if I go outside and the wind blows? I have to protect it. Whichever way the wind is blowing, I try to keep the light safe. I don't want it to go out. I need this light. I don't want it to go out. I protect it, right? If there's no wind, I don't need to protect anything. I need to protect, just hold it. So, and then from that place, you can, if you cultivate energy and you stop losing energy, that light can grow and it can fill up a room. And then if you cultivate more energy, you can fill up an area, a big area. And all the great leaders have that energy, guys. All the great leaders have the ability to fill a room with goodness, right? A funny story, another quick story though, nothing long. We were at the summer camp, and we're all out, a bunch of young men out in the woods studying martial arts, and we trained hard. And at nighttime, we also drank hard. So we're drinking and talking and reminiscing like school kids. And then one night, it wasn't too late, 11 o'clock. And then the night was still kind of young, and we were all pretty drunk, most of us. And at one point, Michael comes into the room, and he looks at everybody, and we're like, here's the head instructor. I thought he was going to be mad because we were pretty drunk and pretty loud. And he says, guys, it looks like you're having a great time. That's awesome. Because, but it's kind of getting late, and we got a long day tomorrow. Maybe we should all get some sleep. I don't know. And he just leaves. As the whole room was like, it wasn't discipline. It was like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, we do have a long day tomorrow. So we all leave. I didn't know. And as I'm walking to where I was staying, Vladimir turns to me and says, I don't have that kind of power. He just made a suggestion and made 40 people, drunk people, listen. I couldn't make a suggestion to 40 people, drunk, loud, and make them listen. He just, because his presence changed people's minds. Just he's so good. You're like, he's probably right. He's better than, he's probably right. That's it. Very powerful. Carries a lot of power, and it's because he has a very strong spirit, right? The spiritual power is different than physical power. It does not dominate people. It doesn't dominate. It just suggests, right? In a funny way, it's like a mob boss. Alberto, I have an offer for you that I believe is in your best interest. It just strongly suggests, right? It's beautiful, because if you make the decision, it's so much better than if somebody forces you. If you're forced to make a decision, you get a little resentful. You have a little bit of resentfulness, right? And as a teacher, we always have to kind of help push students down the right road, but not create resentment. I don't want them to say, I did this for you, right? I don't want my students or my kids or anybody that listens to me to quietly resent me as they get older. I want them to say that they made a lot of good suggestions, and I chose them. This is the big thing, right? Like, do I really have to tell you guys how important it is to move? Or could I just suggest it and you'll figure it out on if it's really good, right? If there's a food that I know is really good for you and I suggest it, do I have to do more? Do I have to shove it in your mouth? Don't think so. Okay. So we have the holidays coming up, guys. So it's Christmas coming up, and it's such a special time. And when you're sitting at the dinner table with your family and you feel so grateful, then you know that the gratitude that comes from it, right? You'll feel this in your heart. You know, like I hope you guys feel it when I'm teaching you online. Like I'm so grateful for you guys just listening to me and so you know I teach from this gratitude, right? So when you listen to spiritual people talk about gratitude, so how will you bring in gratitude to your life? That's the most. So you can do it every week, or you could be grateful every day, right? You be grateful every day. You know, last couple of in the last month, I've had two students from the online come to see me. I mean, you saw Noah came to see me, and Eric came to see me, and they came to train and talk and learn. Guys, for all week, every day, I said a prayer of gratitude, and I was so grateful for that. I didn't say it once. Almost every day, I was very grateful for them coming to see me, and I'm equally as grateful for you just taking your time to listen to me. I'm so grateful for it. So that's spiritual. That's the spiritual quality. Gratitude is something for those people, right? I'm so grateful, you know. And this is why in Sistema they say every punch that you get hit should be a gift for you, right? You heard that, Alberta. It's a gift. But we do kind of, but then once in a while we don't take it as a gift. It's not a gift. I say, hey, here's your gift. Here's my gift. But how that changes everything, right? How that changes everything. And recently I've had some new students start Fight Club that came from traditional martial arts. And this concept of hitting and being happy about it, it's a way out there. And to watch in just two classes their demeanor change. It's beautiful. It reminds me how much we take for granted Sistema does for people. And even as me teaching it now for near 25 years, I'm still grateful at what it does for people. So you need to take the spiritual stuff, and I've given you a small nuggets. Imagine a light inside you. Read about spiritual people. Go to spiritual places. Watch some spiritual things. It doesn't mean, you know, for some strange reason, anytime people follow, they think like you're drinking the Kool-Aid, like somehow you're gonna get brainwashed. This doesn't exist. This is just people that they want to come up with reasons. Just use your own feeling. Use your own how you feel. I never felt bad leaving church. I never felt bad reading about somebody that did something very special on a spiritual level. It doesn't matter what religion. I never felt bad. I only felt humble. I only felt humble. Now, I did share with you guys a practice a while ago that I visualize a light in me. I visualize lighting the room. I visualize the country, and I visualize the world. So imagine if you were so powerful with energy that you could light up the world, okay? That's my favorite one. And somebody asked me, oh, you want to control the world? I said, actually, the complete opposite. It was a good question. Say like you want to be so powerful that you can light up the world. I said, no, it reminds me how small I am. Because I think of myself in the world and I see how small I am. And it builds humility. It says that I'm one person, but there's billions. They're all like me. But if we all did it, that would be special. But it's not a power thing. I want to learn how to cultivate power because I want to be able to channel it and help people. I need to focus. It's really what it's about, right? You know, it's not about how many vegetables I can grow. It's about how many vegetables that I can use to feed people. That's different. That's different than wanting the biggest garden, right? You know, it's you know, a person can make lots of money and give it all away, but do whatever they want with it. Doesn't mean I have to spend it on myself, but let other people think about those things. You know what you're trying to do with it, because the more people that can plug into you and you're aware of it and you can help them, the better. You know, obviously for those of us with kids, you understand, right? And Miro feels it now, I'm sure. Little kids are going to pull energy, right? They're going to pull, but something magical is going to happen, because right now my kids, they pull some energy, but they give me energy too. Like watching my son play basketball was Like he's getting to a point where he's so good. Just to watch him, just the energy, he's playing the game and he's doing so well. And it's not just him doing well, but it was the way he approached the game and the man he's becoming that just made it filled me with energy. It's like I'm sure Alberto has. He's watching his daughter and how people can call it proud, but they can also call it like I'm so happy that you found the right thing. It gives me energy, right? So we need to, as parents, they take energy, but they'll give you energy back. It's going to come back, right? And that, but you at the beginning, it's quite tiring. I know, Miro, but hang in there. That's why I'm giving you energy. So if they take it, maybe I give you a little bit somewhere. So please don't think that monastic or spiritual things have no purpose or they're organic or just spiritual, just spiritual. Guys, spiritual, but not just spiritual. They follow a process in church. In all religious institutions, there is a process. You got to read, you got to pray, you got this, you got that, you got that, and then you become spiritual. Guys, I'm trying to write a book. I'm actually trying to write a book. And there's this illusion that people are talented writers. Bullshit. One of the best writers hate writing. It is the most work. There's actors out there that have won Oscars. They hate acting. They can stand it, right? It's work at being an actor. It's work at being a spiritual. It's work. But people will make you think it's just, well, you're born a writer. You're just born. Bullshit. It's all a load of crap. You're not born like that. Okay. Maybe people are gifted, but you got to work hard. You got to work hard. And spiritual is work hard. And you'll know you're spiritual because just the other day, it just happened to me. Somebody came up to me, a homeless person just came up to me, just sat down beside me and started talking to me. Not threatening at all, but just wanted to be close to you. You know, you just wanted to feel somebody wasn't going to yell at him for a second, right? You can see it with animals. They'll come up to you. Even vicious ones will come up to you because they feel you're safe. You'll start to see it. You'll see it because I believe inside people can feel a type of comfort inside, right? So I recently have been selling a few different things that I've had forever that I'm not using. And people come to see what I'm selling and they just buy it and they're not worried about anything. They're like, I go, yeah, no, it's a good product. Don't worry. I believe you. They didn't ask for anything in writing or anything. No, I believe you. They just feel that they can trust and that they're okay, right? That's when you know you're working with a spiritual thing, right? That's when you know. Guys, why can't you punch a priest? It's hard, right? Because it's so good. Like that's the power you want to have. It feels wrong to do it because from if you could stop somebody just because you're so good, they're gonna go to somebody else. It's much easier with somebody who looks a little bit angry or who's challenging me, right?
Unless he practices system. Unless the guy
but I'm telling you guys, the old warriors were like that. They didn't hate what was in front of them. They loved what was behind them. That's a whole other ballgame. We've mixed up warriors and fighters with entertainment. We've missed that. That's not what it was. The warrior had a strong spirit and he fought from a strong spirit. Then Hollywood and movies have changed our perspective. But we need to fix that, right? We need to be the warriors of old, the ones that had a good purpose, that had a good spirit, that loved people and only did what was necessary. And that was it. Not more for that, not hate people. No, that's entertainment. Everybody wants drama like WWF. They want that drama. That's entertainment. That's not fighting. That's something else, okay? So something to think about over the holidays as you're with your loved ones, as you're feeling happy. Say, how can I bring that when you're at the table with your whole family and everybody, all this love? How can you say, I'm going to do that when I'm fighting or when I'm training with your trainers? How can you bring that same feeling to them? How can you punch them and choke them with like love? I don't know. If you don't practice that, you won't be able to do it. So put a process to the spiritual stuff, guys. And if you don't know how to get started, just ask me. but I'm kind of giving you some nuggets of what to think about, what you
Mhm.
read, what you do, where you go, how you think, and that little light inside you guys. Remember that there is a light, there is a light inside you, and you will get students that come to you with no light. You got to turn it on. You got to turn it on, and they'll slowly feel it. Okay, but they need to have that light on. Okay, there's dark, of course, but you can turn the light on. If I blow a candle out, it can be lit. There's no doubt in my mind. It can be lit. And that's part of our role as good people and as teachers, to light those candles and show students how to keep it on and how to grow it and how to get energy and how to stop the hemorrhaging of energy, start to have less, have more time for energy. Okay. Merry Christmas, guys. All the best.
Thank you. Thank you, Manny,
All
for
the
sharing.
best to you guys. All the
For
best to you
sharing
guys.
this. Thank you for sharing this great energy with us. Okay?
Yes,
Merry
please. I'm
Christmas.
so happy to have you guys on. It will continue in the new year, I promise. Okay, so don't worry about it. I'll send some emails out to everybody and see, maybe we can add another session here, add another session there. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Whatever works for you guys, I'll figure out how to work for myself. Okay.
Okay.
Don't watch the news too much. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye, guys. Have a good
Merry
one.
Christmas.
Merry
Merry
Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Merry Christmas.
Happy-
Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.